All right, I think so too. All right, what's up, y'all? We are here with Miss Michelle Williams, the HISD union leader that is under fire, facing termination hearing, teacher jail, all the things for a social media post. Girl, first of all, this story is so funny because I look at your background. I just got to start it off by saying you are accused of being on social media at work because you posted a live video from your classroom, which is basically what you're sitting in right now. Your home. 6 o'clock in the
Definitely.
morning.
This is the infamous background. This is the infamous background. And they were so quick to jump on and say, you were at your classroom, in your classroom. I was like, y'all thought I was here? I said, oh, okay. And I had to chuckle a little bit at because I was like, my background is great then. If you thought I was in a classroom.
And at 6 o'clock in the morning. 6
Yes.
o'clock in the morning.
And that's the funny thing. I work an hour away from my school, a whole hour. That means I had to leave my house at about 4:30. And I go through tolls. So it's really interesting. I'm really interested in seeing how this is going to play out because none of the stuff that they have can stick. You know, even when they said I was tweeting throughout the day, I have a scheduler for because I run an organization. Yeah, I'm not out there tweeting under Michelle Williams. Everything is under our union handle. But here, more importantly, let's go to the principals' Twitter handles and see what they're tweeting. That's what y'all need to do. I bet you're gonna find out that they're tweeting all throughout the day. So if the policy doesn't say, oh, tweet if you're talking about the school or anything about it, says do not tweet during the school day. So that means all his little people that are NES Kool-Aid drinkers, yeah, let's get them too, because that makes no sense if we all shut it all down. And I don't tweet on my personal. That is union business. And we have the right to exist. We have the right to, especially under federal law, to actually advocate for better pay and better working conditions, which we actually need in HISD today.
So let's go ahead and just walk us through, so people that haven't been following or people that don't know about your story, go ahead and walk us through what happened that led up to your removal. Girl, they sent you to the bus barn. Girl,
I'm not gonna even lie. It sounds bad, but that HISD, even before a takeover, that's where, you know, we call it deem it teacher jail. You know, they've been sending teachers over there for years since I first started. And you know, they removed me because this has been ongoing. This is not something that just started. It started after the board meeting on February 8th, where Channel 11, or they posed the question about, you know, what is your statement towards the unions, because they're still critical. So now, mind you, it was phrased as unions, not Michelle, the employee, but Michelle, the union president. So he said, well, the unions need to get off social media talking about me, because make no mistake, this is not the first time we've knocked heads about our social media. It's not. He accused me in our last consultation meeting of personally attacking him. Nothing about what I do is personal. He is the head or appointed head of HISD. Leadership comes with criticism. People criticize me all the time. But at the end of the day, I run an organization. We are aligned and affiliates of said organization, NEA. So we move in that way. So it's not personal. I have members that pay. This is not welfare. I'm not giving them anything. They pay for a service to be represented, and I represent them to the best of my ability. It's not personal. But back to the timeline. So he and I got into an exchange. Since he made his invitation public, I sent an email to him and made it public too, accepting the invitation. So it wasn't anything derogatory. The email was very well written. What he didn't like is that I ran down my resume to him, because many people don't know who I am as an educator. I told him, I don't just run an organization or lead a union. I have a history. People didn't know that I used to have my principal certificate. I let it expire because I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, because I learned when I worked in Louisiana that they want this kind of blind loyalty, because my superintendent and I had the conversation about some things that my principal was doing that was wrong, because I was a master teacher at the time. He was like, well, you have to support your principal. And I looked at him, I said, even when she wrong? And then he choked. He had nothing to say. Well, that's the type of stuff that they want in leadership in education. And I'm not doing that. I am not rubber stamping when you're wrong. And that's just me. I've been like that my whole life. So after the exchange, he sent his division superintendent down to my classroom. Her and Ms. Vasquez, Dr. Stout, the ones that signed the memo, they came to my classroom. And then when she walked into my room, I said, I expected this. And she was like, oh, you did? I did, because I know, based on what I've read about him, he's really big on intimidation. He's really big on trying to rattle you and silence you. All of this has been documented with the Dallas Morning News, all of this, so I expected some retaliation to happen. But after that, I was really concerned about my campus, because this didn't have anything to do with them. And they were coming down to our campus. I already knew there was going to be fallout. So after they came down, things settled, then February the 24th, Angela Flowers, remember that name? She's one of the board of managers. I have a business, and I've had this business. I wasn't even working in HISD when I created this business. It has the LLC. It's a legit business. I formed it when I was teaching in Louisiana. So she put a question mark on one of my business posts. And I slid in the comment section and I said, may I help you? She never responded. So I said, well, since you seem interested, I put some links, because you want to know what's going on. So I put the links. And then I backdoored, sent her a private message. And I asked her, I said, please refrain from commenting on my post, because if you continue to do so, I'm going to see it's going to be viewed as harassment or a bullying tactic. Thank you for your cooperation. That was on the 24th. The 27th, they came down to my classroom with some memos. That is not a coincidence. But Angela Flowers is out of line. I am not her responsibility. What she is doing is delving into employee, which is not in her jurisdiction. It's not in her jurisdiction. And it's the same thing that the elected board in HISD was accused of. Now, I am going to file a formal complaint against her, because it's bullying and harassment. And she knows it, because it follows the timeline of when the harassment started with HISD. And because my thing is, I have made the decision to speak up, and teachers have been speaking up, but now it hasn't been heard. But now we have an opportunity through me and the union to really put what's really happening out there, because he's targeting me because I won't be silent. I'm not. It is our right. And I tell our membership all the time, our rights are not a bargaining chip. It's not. It's not a bargaining chip for anyone. Our rights are being eroded. So that's the timeline of it. And then that next weekend, they came down, with the infamous background and said, hey, you was at the school and I wasn't.
So let me, I have so many questions, but quickly, you talked about like being outspoken and your outspoken criticism. I know in one of the newspaper articles, I can't remember if it was ABC 13 or something like that, they mentioned that you spoke up about the payment regarding the extension of the school year. And that's was that the thing that pissed him off, that got him going, is because you out loud question, hey, you're extending the school year 10 days and the math ain't math, and the money don't make sense for what you want us to do and how it was unfair. So talk to us and outspoken about the new compensation manual that came out. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So he pits the district against one another, which in my opinion, an effective leader does not do that. Why would you want to split the district? But hey, that's neither here nor there. So the chief human resource officer released, because they have this thing, we're going to have press conferences and everything. Just release the manual, but you wanted to make it a big to-do. Okay, fine. So that next morning, I got up and I said, yes, I'm going to speak out against this compensation manual, because what he did is, we work 20 days a month. If you add 10 days, that's half of 20. Simple fractions. So he closed the 10.5-month pay column, which is a part of the 2022-23 compensation manual, and said, I'm just going to deem you all 10-month employees. Not so fast. It's 10.5. And everybody has a step. Now, what you do with your little NES schools and what they sign up for has nothing to do with these non-NES schools. You need to compensate the teachers in the non-NES schools appropriately. So I looked at the different steps. My step was $4,700 for 10.5 months. And because we have a daily rate. So he says, no, you're not 10.5, you're 10 months. I said, no. I said, that little $2,500 that he's offering teachers is $96 a pay period. And don't wait, the insurance probably is going to go up. So that's one of the things that I was addressing. I don't know what set them off, but they were looking anyway. Just like ABC 13 asked them, they said, is it routine? Or, all the employees, you looking at all their social media accounts? That's why it's retaliation, because you're looking at mine, and they wouldn't answer them. Yeah, because that you are harassing and unfairly targeting me because you're looking for something. And that's fine, keep looking, but I don't break policies. I know HISD's policy like the back of my hand, and I tell people all the time, I have always been outspoken, always. When I was in Galena Park, Dr. Matney, she was the first principal I filed a grievance against. And then the whole school started filing grievances, and we got her removed at the middle of the year. So this is not anything new, but that, I don't know what set him off, but he has people that that do his bidding. Make no mistake, Dr. Stout, she worked for Mr. Miles in Dallas. She was one of the principals there. So it's all connected. It is nothing that these are not just new people. She's one of his people. All his division superintendents are people that came from Dallas with him. So they do his work, and now her name is in it.
Yeah, I get so many complaints about these executive directors and these division. I don't even know. Y'all got so many titles of people, that a bunch of top heavy people. Y'all got a bunch of nothing titles. But let's go back to Ms. Flowers. Because I need people to understand, the people that are not in Texas or that are not familiar with what's going on at HISD. So normally, like right now, it's election time, right? Most of us are getting up, going to the polls, and we're electing people to represent us. Right now, school district elections are in full swing. HISD, because of the state takeover, no longer has elected officials. They have appointed managers, right? And these are a board of, I don't want to call them random people, but let's keep it a buck, random people that feel like they have the best interest at heart for HISD, right? So some of them like, oh, I went to school in HISD years ago, but oh, now I live here. A lot of them really don't have any ties or any connection to the community. Now, Miss Flowers, she's interesting because she's a teacher herself, correct? Oh, I mean,
she's a teacher herself. She is. A lot of people don't know that she's a teacher and has been an administrator. As a matter of fact, she used to work in HISD. So I guess she felt like she could comment on the social media posts. But this is not the first time that he's asked the Black board members to talk to me. Adam Ravon was one of them. So, you know, even with that, like, I didn't know that she was one of the people, her and Cassandra Ozan Bandy were the two Black women that filed police reports on Larry McKenzie. I had no clue about that until everything was over. But here's what people don't know. I was there when Larry McKenzie made the statement. I was standing right next to him. He spoke right after me. And there was no threat, because here's what I do know, that Black people that look like me and you are selling out their communities. That's what's happening in the name of perks, in the name of I'll get this, but it's not going to last long. At the end of the day, this stuff will come home to roost. This is history. History repeats itself. It's repeating itself. Now, it never changes. The community at the end of the day, they will be left out. They will, because they are on the wrong side of history. And actually selling your communities out, let's be clear, they will not get away with this. It may seem like they're winning now, but they will not, because they will be held accountable. And I don't understand how we got here where educators are actually hurting kids. Like, I don't, how do you get there? And then sleep at night and be okay with it, and then try to get on this man's bandwagon to harass a teacher who is doing right by children, who's doing right by children. I have kids, even when last year when I didn't go back to Forestbrook, I have kids still reach out to me. They're in high school. I have kids that reach out to me from when I taught them at 5th grade at Cashmere Gardens. One of them was at Wheatley. They always reach out. I have them all the time. So my thing is, when I push, I think about the children that I have taught over the course of 24 years and lives that have changed mine, because I'm not going to lie, education has brought me a lot. It has. It has matured me as an educator. It taught me to be more empathetic to the people that a lot of people don't know. I went to private school until I was a junior in high school. They don't even know that. So it has taught me, although I am educated, that these are my people. They're my people. When I go and talk to Madison parents, those are my people, to help them navigate this bureaucracy and the disrespect that's coming from HISD.
So, well, let's get back into social media and the whole live stream, right? And going back into how invasive our employers can be, right? I always talk about on my platforms how we are allowed to have a life, right? Again, I'm going back to you. You make your video at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is what a lot of us do, right? Especially those of us that are teacher content creators. We know, for the most part, I ain't gonna say all of us, because some of us be wilding, not to make videos on campus, not to make videos in our classrooms. We already know this, right? Now, especially when you have a platform like you have, a platform like I have, we already know that they're going to be watching. So why would I give you ammunition to come at me for policy when I already know that you're watching? But something that is baffling to me is that in 2024, the people that are in admin, that are at the top, that should be so tech savvy, don't understand content creators and scheduling. So you are tweeting during the day, and none of these educated degree doctors have a concept or an understanding that, hey, a lot of people batch content create on Sundays and make it to go schedule. I will sometimes record 3 videos in 20 minutes and I'll go change my shirt. And I'll push it out to go out on several different days. Now, if I look at my analytics, which I know you're looking at your analytics, when is my audience most engaged? If it says my audience is most engaged at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm scheduling that to go out at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, I'm at work. I'm at the board teaching. I'm not on social media. I'm in my job doing my thing. But it says 9 o'clock. So let's talk about that, because you will have some people that say, well, technically, you're being represented on social media, so you are breaking policy. Let's talk about that.
I think it's something that is going to come up because, and not only this, I've had my schedule post for years for my business as well as the union. I use a scheduler called CoSchedule, and all you do is put the content in, put your caption, and you can schedule it. It says best time. Whatever the best time is, I don't know, because it's algorithmic based. And this is something that they're going to have to resolve, because at the end of the day, we're not tweeting. And I don't tweet. When they said you posted on this day, I went back into the scheduler and it said published. So I'm like, of course, because the scheduler published it, and I have proof that it published it, because Twitter, form X, it actually, most of the people are my audience 10 to 1 o'clock. So you'll see things that go out on either my president's handle or the union's handle, because you can't do the same content on Twitter on both handles. We have a Facebook page. So here's my thing. You trying to give me for Michelle's handle, I still got the union's handle. So why are you not bothering that? Because here's the thing. My union handle says HEA president. So in the paperwork, they said you went on your personal. That's not personal. All of my handles are union. Facebook, whether it has my face on it, it is not personal. And they did that intentionally because they didn't want to say union, because that's a whole other spin. But that's the falsehood and semantics that they're playing. But to your point, yes, there are a lot of teachers. And I see teachers on social media that are filming in their classroom, got the whole Facebook ads. And I'm looking like, boom, mad day gonna come, and you in the district gonna get a divorce, and they gonna come down on you. Because that's the game that they play. They did it to a teacher in Austin, saying that she was saying, because she got mad day happened, and she started talking about what was not supposed to be talked about. And they came down on her because of that, and saying that she was posting from her classroom. So if you're listening, don't do it. Get you a background. Get you a background.
They're going to come for you anyway, but get you a background. They're going to come for you at your house with your background. So let's talk about the big question that everybody has. If they can come after one of the union presidents, what makes me safe? If this is the organization that I give my money to protect me, if they can go after them, her, how am I safe? What makes me safe?
And that's an absolutely great question. Like I told the membership, they were asking about laws and this, and laws are only good if they're enforced. And they're only forced by people making them. It's people like me. And they were like, well, can they do this and that? They can try. But that's where the union comes in. The union is not there to say that they won't try it. The union is there to say, hey, we got your back legally when these laws are broken. But here's the thing, people, you got to be in the right. So they can't defend you when you're wrong. And that's the thing with me. I haven't done anything wrong. So when you are being unfairly targeted, the union comes in with legal power because that's what you lack. And then you come in and add your voice to it with the strong arm of the legal department. That's what the union represents. And I'm going to tell you, kudos to the Texas State Teachers Association, because they moved very quickly. When I got the memos the first time, I had an attorney by the end of the week. Our Texas State Teachers Association is staffed by attorneys. So you're not getting some union rep, you're getting an attorney that works when you call into our help center. And that's what the union does for you. It fights for you. Now, I'm not saying that people don't get terminated. If you look at any strike or any struggle, just like with the automotive industry, you don't think people got fired? Even with Starbucks trying to unionize, you didn't see those people get fired? It's the sacrifice that has to be made on the front end. And it does. And sometimes there are people who get sacrificed for the greater good. But I knew when this happened that I was going to have to continue, because there was nobody else that could do it, that had the platform to actually bring awareness to what is happening in HISD. And one lady thanked me. She said, "Thank you for what you're doing." I said, it actually is a privilege to do it for a profession that has given me so much. I raised my son as a teacher. It allowed me to be a parent, go to all his games, show up for him in ways that other parents could not. So it has done, I have done well in education. And people don't know this. I wanted to be a nurse practitioner, and I look back on it. This was divine intervention. I had a lady tell me when I was about trying to quit, she said, the Lord has something big for you in education. And I looked at her and I said, "Girl, I'm trying to quit." So she actually reached out to me. That was in 2007. And she said, "You've always been an advocate for the voiceless, and you've always done this." She said, "You got this." Because that's who I've been my whole life. But it's not that they're not going to try, but know that the union and our organization has your back legally.
So some people would say that your case is exposing like deeper issues of transparency and accountability within HISD. You know a lot, and I know you know a lot. I know you know where a lot of the bodies are buried, and a lot of the dirt. A name you brought up earlier, I know that man has been vocal in something in my eye, very vocal in HISD. I remember his name when I was a young girl in school, when I was a teenager, being vocal, being on the front lines. And so I'm noticing a pattern with people who have been very vocal prior to Mike Miles taking over. And these are the people that appear to be slowly being taken out, because you have the platforms, a whole lot of dirt, you've been vocal for a very long time, you've been around for a very long time, and you are gassing up the younger generation to be vocal. And we don't need them to be vocal, we need them to be robots and fall in line with what we got going on right now. And as long as people like you and the other gentlemen that you mentioned are in the way, then this is what we're gonna have. My son, it's not funny, but we had an advocate that passed away, for a strong advocate for HISD that passed away a while back. You familiar with the name? All right. And so my son's barber, he came and cut his hair last night, and he's always talking to me because he was really good friends with that gentleman. And so he was talking to me and he said, "Man, I feel like this is your assignment. This is your mission." And I said, "Oh no, I don't want the heat like he had." He knew a whole lot more than I ever want to know. Right. And he said, and another teacher told me this too, conspiracy theory. She said, "I think that man has something to do with that man being taken away from us." And I said, "Oh Lord, don't start it," because my mom keeps saying it. Mike Miles gonna put a hit on you because you talking too much. And so it makes me feel like What's going on here? Y'all slowly being taken out. Reminds me of an episode of Scandal. All the top people with the vocal, y'all are the people that are being taken out, and they're looking for the smallest of technicalities that they can catch you on to say we holding you to board policy.
Here's the thing, and this is the I guess faulty thinking. Just because you take me away from HISD as a teacher, I still exist. And you really think I'm going to stop? I'm not going to be tied to a job. So, baby, I have time. I have time. That 7 3/4 hours that I used to not have, it's going to amp up. And then I have more time to get out in the community and organize. That's the thing. That's the faulty thinking, that I'm going to go away, because the current climate is that, oh, your job. HISD ain't the only rodeo in town. It is not. It is not the only rodeo. I teach math. And if you think people don't need math teachers, I promise you, I can show you better than I can tell you. And I'm not going anywhere. Even if they terminate me, I'm not going anywhere.
So you teach what, 2nd, 3rd grade math?
I teach 3rd grade, but I've taught elementary, middle, and high school.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question that I asked the teacher that I had on a couple of weeks ago, HISD teacher she named her school South Early College. I want to say that's the name of the school that she was at. Same thing. She just, her incidents happened in a matter of like a week. She just wouldn't take the bullying. She wouldn't let them talk to her any kind of way. She was very vocal about it. Three women. So she had a woman principal, a woman ED, and then a woman, whoever the person is over the executive director, right? And so they all kind of collectively got together to get her out of there, because you, Black woman, I know you're not getting out of your place and talking out of turn and talking to us like that. And so that was her situation. That was her story, right? Sent her to teacher jail. And I said, wait a minute. We are literally weeks away from state assessments. Who is going to teach your kid? You teach a STAR-tested subject. So you mean to tell me egos at this particular moment, where test data, STAR data is everything, you take me away from my kids when it's time for me to prep them for this last minute? Who else is going to come in there and hype them up to do their best like I am? How smart was that?
So actions speak louder than words, because if it's about children, then none of this should be happening. Let's be clear. It's not about children. It's about making sure that your model, and you can sell it. And I've said this more than once, that you can sell it to the rest of the world, and Texas buys into it. Because I know one of the teachers told me her friend works in Aldine and they was looking at the NES model. I said, the who? Yeah, that's what's going on. Make no mistake, he been busting superintendents into HISD, talking about, look at us. And then it's a lie. Let me tell you something. I have worked in those Northeast areas. I've worked at Shadydale. I've worked at Forest Brook. I've worked at Cashmere High School. I've worked at Cashmere Gardens Elementary. They are all over there. And let me tell you, I know what's over there. The kids cannot read. And that was one of the issues I had with my principal last year. I said, the kids, I used to teach reading. I said, these kids are reading at a 3rd grade level, 4th grade level in 8th grade. But let me tell you what the model is not doing, teaching the kids how to read. Now, so it ain't teaching them how to read.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because some of the teachers that I spoke with from a NES high school not too long ago said that the curriculum is made for kids that are on grade level to progress from there. So if I am, like me, I'm an 8th grade English teacher, right? So if I'm an 8th grade English teacher and I have students that are in my 8th grade class who struggle with basic literacy skills, right? Basic phonetic awareness, basic fluency. But here's the curriculum that you're telling me I have to go off. I cannot stray away from the scripted curriculum. what is happening to my babies that still struggle with literacy? You're telling me, oh, we don't care. There's nothing built into the program or into the curriculum to help them. So what happens to them? Do they just fall through the cracks? Like, I really need help understanding the whole NES and how it benefits those babies that are behind. We know they're behind, right? It's no insult. It's not to demean or belittle them. We're being vocal saying, hey, our babies are behind. Give us an opportunity to go back and fill in those gaps that we know they're missing. Because if I can barely write a sentence, I don't even have proper punctuation, I don't know how to do any of those things. I'm still in 8th grade, possibly writing my letters backwards and just common things that we see every day. Why are you telling me as if I need to write a rhetorical analysis essay about the Civil War and how it compares to? How does that help them? That seems so unfair to me.
It's based on what the members have told me, is that the children, they're not learning how to read. So when he says lack of data, no graphs, no charts, he didn't put out anything. And based on what the media told me, they asked for it, but he will not produce any data from those NWEA scores. All he says is, believe me, the kids are reading and this, that. Of course, they're swimming at the bottom. And you got 7th graders reading at a 3rd grade level where there's not any intensive intervention. I worked at a rural high school in Louisiana. And what they did is brought in Read 180 to help the high school kids learn how to read. Let me tell you about this high school. That high school just got awarded having one of the highest growth for ACT scores in the state of Louisiana. That's success. And it's under the teacher advancement program, which I know a lot of people don't like, but it worked at that rural high school, Lowell Milkins program. It's called TAP. I was a master teacher on there. That's where I learned all of this stuff, how to create goals. But that's not happening in HISD. There are not going to be any success stories. You know why? Because Ector County ISD, I looked into their data. Their data says that the kids are still failing STAR. And they just got up enough for them to get out of corrective action. And the district said, we want our school back. And Third Futures will not have Ector Intermediate next year. They're going back to their district. And praise God, because based on what I know, those kids are not in any better shape. But that's a migrant community. They don't have a lot of, it's like 98% Hispanic. And we're talking about first generation Hispanics. So at the end of the day, there's no magic happening. And our children in urban Houston are going to suffer. We're going to see a generation of illiterate children. And there's not reading is hard to move the needle. And I tell people this all the time. I can help you with math, but it takes intensive year-to-year intervention to close those gaps. So I took what Mr. Miles was saying about, oh, the kids are here. They get 1% better. I said, well, here's the thing, because I teach math. I understand numbers. If you're 1% better in 7th grade, how many 1% are you ever going to close the gap by the time you get to 12th grade? It'll never close, because we know that there's a regression cycle in the summer and you're starting over in August. So these kids will never be on grade level. That's the gist of it.
And speaking from my experience as a former high school teacher as well, when we see that confidence slipping in those subjects where now I'm in the 10th grade, now I'm in the 11th grade, and I'm expected to advance in my courses and advance in my critical thinking, and that they're not able to do that, that's when we start seeing those dropouts. That's when we start seeing a lot of those, behavior problems going to 10. If they weren't already bad, they're worse now. So my concern and my worry is, what's going to happen to these kids in high school? Are we going to see an increase in the dropout rate? Because how are we making sure that those gaps are closed? That way we don't see dropouts. If you're telling me 1%, I'm at the third grade level. I'm in third grade level is, I mean, not to be shady, but that's generous, because we, in all actuality, we know that a lot of them are below that. So if I require all of these things in the state of Texas to graduate, but I'm still, by the time I get to the 9th or 10th or 11th grade, now I'm at a third, fourth grade percent in math, or third, fourth grade level in math, but I'm expected to take geometry and algebra 2 and pre-cal. What's going on? Are we just making them, sending them through? What are we doing?
They're going to drop out. When I was at Cashmere Gardens, the principal at the time left and went to Cashmere High School. And one of the things that principal understood is that elementary teachers are better at closing gaps. So what he did is installed me as a math interventionist and another elementary teacher as a reading intervention, and brought in another elementary teacher for writing. There was a student that had taken the English 1 exam 12 times. 12. Guess when she finally passed it? When the elementary teachers came up to the high school. So I have seen some horror stories. I have seen kids, because you can see their historical data. I have seen kids that have never passed a math STAR test, but when I got them for intervention, working with the Algebra 1 teacher, they finally passed. You know what I'm saying? So it takes a lot of collaboration and skill. I'm not your regular teacher. If I leave, it would take 7 teachers to replace me, because guess what? I've taught reading. I know how to teach kids how to read. I've taught math. I've taught middle school math. I've taught Algebra 1. You know, I've taught writing. I've taught science. So there is no replacement. And the New Teacher Project has this article called The Irreplaceables. That's who we are. Because once we leave, you can't replace us. And no matter what people say, yeah, teachers, y'all, no, you cannot replace me. And I know my worth. And that's what I want teachers to understand. Don't let people assign value to you via these little evaluation systems. I'm not even talking about just an HISD, because I'm going to be honest with you. I hadn't read my evaluation. I know it's been about 8 years. 8. So I don't even look at them, because you know who matters the most? I have conversations with my students, and I'm like, did I teach that good? And they're going to tell you, yeah, no, I understand that. I think you need to go over this. That's what matters, because they are the ones taking the test, and we have conversations about what you don't understand and what can I do better. It's not about the adult that come in here who ain't taught in a classroom in 10 years and ain't ever taught math, ever, never. So that's who my clientele is, and that's what matters. And if it mattered to this current appointed administration, it wouldn't be about teachers. So he gets this group of teachers to come in and say, hey, the teacher advisory, rubber stamps. He don't want people like me, because I'm a challenger. I'm going to challenge them all day, every day, because I have pedagogy and I have content knowledge. So you can't tell me and sell me anything. But hey, if you want to talk to those people, I read Stacey Abrams' book. She said she taught me through that book how to lead from the outside. And obviously my strength is social media. It gets the attention of everybody. So she taught me that, to take inventory of who I am as a minority leader and lead that way. And I can say she has the blueprint for what needs to be done in HISD.
So you said earlier that you felt like they started targeting your principal. I know we mentioned kind of off camera that you were trying to take leave prior to all of this, because you felt it coming, and you felt them targeting the administration at your school that you cared about and you didn't want them messing with them. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so after they came down, I don't know, in my spirit, I was like, they're not going to stop, and my school did not deserve to be harassed. My principal didn't deserve to be harassed because they didn't ask for that. This is something that's a calling on my life. And I cared about the people at my school, and I felt like they were safer without me being there. So I can go ahead and do what needed to be done. But hey, the district did it for me. They put me in teacher jail. So now my campus is safe, and they don't even understand. When they gave me those papers and said that I was reassigned, it was a huge weight that was lifted off of my shoulders because I wasn't putting principals, assistant principals, because the administration, as you can see, and based on the documented history in Dallas, it's a spirit of intimidation. And I don't want that on my conscience, somebody losing their job, because he's going to retaliate against them if they don't do what he says they're to do, whether it be lie, because as you can see, what they put in those memos are falsehoods. None of it's true. And like I said, my evaluation came back proficient. They said I don't focus on high quality instruction.
So now, looking ahead, do you feel like your situation is going to deter other teachers from speaking out? Because again, like I said earlier, if they can get the union leader, I'm going to be quiet and take this abuse. So we always compare education or being a teacher to an abusive relationship, right? I have to be quiet. I have to stay. I'm staying for the kids. The same thing they tell you. I say an old church grandmother will tell you, stay in your marriage for the kids. He a good man, Savannah. Just try to keep working it out. But do you fear that other teachers, because of all of the retaliation that we are starting to see, that these teachers will be quiet, take the abuse, stay for the money, and just not speak out because they're fearful?
There's always going to be some. And I would be naive to say if I said that there aren't. But those people are going to be silent anyway. I even after my story aired, I actually had a lady message me on Facebook and said, hey, I need to get my story out too. Who did you contact? So we're not going to get everybody, but I do believe this is going to lead to other people speaking out and saying I've had enough, because there's no job that you can dangle over my head to make me be quiet. It doesn't happen, because that's my right to advocate for our membership and myself as well. That's a federally protected right. And, like I told them, I said, you're going to have to fight. A fight, you're not going to win all of them. And you're going to be battered and bruised. Who hadn't been in a fight where you ain't get punched in the face or get punched in, it's the same thing. It is the same exact thing. But figuratively, we're going to have to take some. But God has given me peace. I have peace of mind. People ask me all the time. I've had people reach out to me I just had a person who used to be the president of the Police Patrolmen's Union. They told me stay the course. So the outpouring from the community has been great. I have peace because this is what I know that I'm supposed to be doing. I sleep well at night. I do. Don't miss a Z. But this is where I'm supposed to be. And if it's your calling, you're going to do what needs to be done. Everything that I could have ever asked for in this fight has been provided. I needed a group to partner with. LULAC, Diane Osman Guzman stepped up to the plate. We're writing a grant to help with leadership and build leaders. That came, like everything I needed. So some people, if they choose to remain quiet, I know that there's going to be others that are going to step up. And don't use me as your measuring stick, because what happens to me may not happen to you. I may be the deciding factor that says, okay, we're not going to do this. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know the outcome. You never know what's going to happen, but don't always think that, oh, if they got her, they didn't get me. They're trying to, but at the end of the day, I guarantee you, this is all. And even if he terminates me, it's still going to end up in litigation. The fight don't stop in HISD. We're going to take it to the courthouse.
So let's quickly talk about teacher jail, right? I've been talking about teacher jail a lot these last few weeks. We had a teacher, and again, it's a lot of this is punitive, right? So going back to that teacher at South Early College that we spoke about, Mrs. Muhammad, who's been on the podcast a couple of times talking about her situation. The principal and the executive director and the area superintendents, I guess, kind of decide if you go to teacher jail near your home campus or far away. And so I believe that they're trying to, she lives in Missouri City, and they're trying to send her to teacher jail where you are, or on the north, way out north. Now her two sons go to school at her job where she teaches. And her husband works overnight. So the whole sending her to teacher jail far away, when we know that there are teachers that are assigned home duty, when there are teachers that are assigned, okay, hey, you just go to the nearest elementary school next to you and work in the cafeteria. I don't know, I'm making something up. But for them to send her when they know it's going to create a hardship on her family, send her 90-minute drive one way, 90-minute drive back the other way, where her kids will no longer have transportation to school or home from school. How is that possible? And then what recourse do teachers like that have when they're being punitive like that? What are the options when it comes to teacher jail?
Based on, I don't even have a clue, because I know I was told, and this is what I was told, that help was full. And so the place where I am, there's not a lot of people over there. So I think it's random. I don't even think that, because they have another teacher jail, which is the bus depot in Missouri City, but it may be full. One of the things that I have learned, that there's a lot of teachers that's being reassigned. So the places, and this is not just teachers, you have to understand there are administrators that are being reassigned. So it's a lot of different people. So I don't know what recourse they have. They told me where I was going, and I was cool. Okay, fine. I drive an hour anyway. But I do understand that it is a hardship on the family. And the thing about it is, here's the conflict. I know when you go get reassigned, you're not supposed to go to the campus, and her kids are at the campus. So what do you do?
And she spoke about that, she just pulls up. She's a parent now, right? So I started to pick my kids up because she has not been back. They've assigned her. She just calls in and uses her days, and she can't go to work because there will be no way for her to get her sons, and then I think she has a younger daughter. There will be no way to get them to and from school. So she's making some very difficult decisions right now by not going to teacher jail. Using the days until she runs out of days, and then now it's like we have to figure out what's next for her. But she says she pulls up to pick up her kids, and her students run to the car, and we miss you, we love you, this is what's going on. Because again, she's a freshman English teacher, right? EOC English 1 coming up. They're telling her they got a elderly, I think they said the gentleman was like 73, 74-year-old substitute. No knock to him, I'm not ageist or anything, but that's who's in the classroom. There's no learning going on. And what's crazy about her situation as well is that her son, one of her sons, is a student in her class. So he's like every day, well, Mom, this is what's going on. This is what we're not doing. Like, there is no learning. The learning has stopped. And like you said, if we're here for kids, Mike Miles, if what you want to do is best for kids, why don't you have somebody in that classroom coming to teach? I pose the question, because I'm always asking difficult questions. That principal that's being so punitive and negative, why isn't her ass in there teaching those kids? You what's the TikTok? You got to teach, you got your degree and you know everything. Why aren't you in there making sure that the education and the learning does not stop? If this is about instruction, and again, this is a specialized campus. This is a school where we're prepping the kids to take college classes and graduate with an associate's degree. Y'all got them kids in there sitting there eating noodles and playing Uno and making TikToks because there's no teacher in the classroom. So is it about kids or not?
No, it's definitely not about children. And his mantra based on his actions is, I'm going to make you bend to his will, and he knows everything and you don't question him. And, people have allowed him to get away with it. But this is Houston, Texas. And, honestly, teachers have a lot of options. This is the most dense area as far as regions. We have the most school districts when you talk about regions. We do. So teachers got options, and they know they have options. So, at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot of losers, which are children, because the teachers, and like even her son, he ain't going to lose because she can teach him when she get home. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I tell them. I said, teachers' kids ain't going to suffer. It's everybody else's children that are going to suffer. And that's, when I look at parents, and I'm like, you all need to get involved. You need to get involved. And
that's going to be my next question to you. We have got to, and I think that's been my mission now on social media. I think I started out with one idea, one goal in mind, and then the more parents that I talk to, the more teachers that I talk to, now I feel like, okay, is my assignment shifting? Because now I feel the need to educate parents, because speaking to them is so much that they do not know. And I always joke, but I don't be joking. Parents are literally sitting on gold mines when it comes to litigations and lawsuits with these school districts and these campuses, and they have no idea because no one has educated them on their rights as parents, their students' rights as students in a public school, and nobody knows anything. And they're so scared and so intimidated to question anything. I talked to some of the parents at Madison High School the other night, and so they're being threatened with their kid not being able to walk across the stage for graduation, not being able to attend prom. The kids, when they did the protest, their Valentine's Day dance was taken away from them. They're being suspended for protesting and posting on social media. This is just some of the things that the kids are telling me. So I'm like, and the parents are just like, okay, little Johnny, just don't do that. Let's not make noise. And I'm like, oh my God, this is why they continue to get away with this, because y'all are being slaves, for a lack of a better word, to things and events. Proms, graduate, like, no, this is not right. We got to stand up. And if they don't know how to speak up and speak out, and when I say speak up and speak out, I don't mean, because I know some people at different high schools. I talked to some people at Westbury, some people at Madison, some other people. Going to the school and speaking out doesn't mean going to the front office cussing people out acting a fool. That's not what speaking out means. Okay. I feel you. I like it. I get it. I know. Because there's been times my children go to school in a ritzier part of town. And there have been times I have wanted to go up to the school and act a clown. Okay. I get it. I totally get it. But when it's something, you have a bigger goal in mind, and it's something that you really need to settle, you have to go up there with the calm state of mind, because that's what's going to get the results. When we go up to that school acting all kinds of crazy, they push us to the side. They don't call them people and tell them people in front of us, don't get them. Trespass them from my campus. Don't let these people come back to my campus anymore. And then now what? Who gonna fight for your baby then? They're getting rid of all the teachers that's gonna fight for your baby. So now you can't even come up here and fight. So how can we effectively teach parents how to fight for their kid, how to advocate for their kid, and use the policy against them?
So that's one of the things that is one of our strategic goals. And I've already started. I've met with a couple of, as a matter of fact, I was on a Zoom call that was organized by one of their community leaders. I spoke with them and then backdoored and met one-on-one with one of the parents who was having an issue with her son being suspended. And one of the most interesting things that she said is that she liked the way, last time I was on Zoom, how you use words that they could understand. She said you didn't use these big words. Obviously, I have a large register vocabulary. But I told her, I said, when people do that, that's blatant disrespect. And I told her that at the end of the day, it's not my goal to make you feel any kind of way. My goal is to help you navigate this foolishness. And I walked her through some of the student code of conduct, because make no mistake, like you said, they're not even putting any behavior in. Like they send these kids home with no paperwork. And then on top of that, they are not giving disciplinary forms. They're putting assault on paperwork. I said, no, because the student code of conduct says that there should be a disciplinary form. And I told her, I said, if you don't think that they're putting it in a system, ask for their discipline record, because it should be in there, you know, trying to get them to navigate. And I told the parent this, I said, let me tell you something. You don't trust the school district. You don't even trust me. You don't trust nobody. You are the advocate for your children. Do not trust the school system. Because let's be clear, my grandson, if his mama sent me a message, I'm there. And he lives in Dallas. I will email that principal and just did it a month ago. Do not play with me, because at the end of the day, I'm his advocate. And I expect them to be fierce advocates and hold us accountable as educators, principals, this administration. And much like you said, I have told them, this is not a fist fight, because, you know, Black people, we like to do it. I said, this is a put your X on the line, put your name on the line, file the paperwork, keep filing it, keep filing it, keep filing it. Paper trail, because that's the game that's being played. Because Morath, make no mistake, you can have complaints, but then he's going to say, oh, we have a board of managers in place. Did you go through the board? And that's what I'm telling the people. Check the boxes. Because people was like, well, why do you go email the board of managers? Box check. I ain't expecting them to do nothing. But when the media reaches out to me, here's this email, these 10 emails, and I got not one response. That's the game that we're playing. But it takes us as educators, people who know the bureaucracy and the red tape and the games that the district plays, to educate our communities on how to go up. And like I'm telling you, they are learning fast. I want to give kudos to Sean Rushing, because baby, she takes that policy and baby, she goes up there. And I said, these new principals, they don't know what's in there. Whoop them, because they don't know. And that's the beauty of having inexperienced novice administrators at the helm, all the way up. They don't know. So you whoop them with what's in black and white. And you wonder why the things that Madison, they wasn't patting them kids down. They ain't searched them kids, because they went over there with their policy. And I told the teachers, don't put your hands on kids. The only people that can legally search kids are police officers. That is it. And they ain't searched them kids. That's what knowing your rights and going up there in black and white gets you, because they wasn't searching them kids.
And I'm gonna piggyback off of you, because Miss Sean Rushing, shout out. I've talked to her. I think me and Miss Rushing talk almost every day. And community members of Madison High School, parents of Madison High School, y'all got to stand behind Miss Rushing. Miss Rushing don't even have any kids at that school. Miss Rushing is in the field. She is doing some major work and trying her best to get some things established. And I just want to encourage those parents at Madison High School, and even any of the schools that feed into Madison. Lawson, is Grissom one of those schools? I grew up over there a long time ago. I can't remember. I don't know. They done changed everything. It used to be Dowling, Grissom, Lawson. But y'all get behind Miss Rushing. Parents that can help and support Miss Rushing, help her out. She can't do all of this on her own. She is fighting for y'all babies, and Miss Rushing don't have no kids at this school, but she in the community trying to fight and do better for Madison. So alumni, I'm calling y'all out. Like, y'all come on and help her out so we can help these babies at this school. Ms. Williams, let me ask you. I got two more questions for you. A message to administrators. You talked earlier, and I had some similar words or similar sentiments for administrators, especially those that look like us, that are tap dancing, drinking the Kool-Aid, and not doing what's best for kids. Not doing what's best by our children or by any children. What are some encouraging words or messages that you can give to those administrators who may feel that they are on the chopping block? My income is more important than anything else, than any kid that I'm putting my hands on right now. What message do you have to administrators?
My message to them is, first of all, get in an organization before if you make a decision. NEA will represent administrators. Our local does not. www.mytsta.org. Do not join and say, I got a problem. No, join before you have the problem. Just like 30-day wait for that car insurance, you got a 30-day wait for legal. My point to you, my message to administrators is, we have a duty to serve our children and do what's right by them. I'm sorry that you are mortgage broke or whatever it is, and I'm not trying to be facetious, but at the end of the day, what you will reap what you sow. It may not be now, it may be on your grandchildren, it may be on your children, but it's going to come back tenfold. And everybody has to push back in your own way. If you know stuff is going on, there are plenty organizations that you can feed information to. If you can't do nothing but say, okay, from this day forward, I'm going to feed information so that I can help right this wrong and this injustice that is happening to these children. Because what Martin Luther King said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And let's be clear, what happens today is going to affect what happens tomorrow and what's to come. Because like they say, if you fail to educate, you will incarcerate. And those kids are going to survive. If it means beating you over the head in your nice house. Like you asked, you said, what happens to the children? That's what happens to the kids. You look up and that child that used to be a student at your school is in your house with a baseball bat, trying to survive because you didn't educate them. That's what we're looking at. And what my message to them in a nutshell is, push back in your own way. Find the strength and the courage. And they say courage is not the absence of fear. Make no mistake, I have fear, but my courage and what needs to be done is greater than that fear. And I'm asking them today to find the courage to push back on what's going on with these children.
And I'm again piggybacking off that great point, feeding information. I have been getting so many, and not just, I'm getting people from North Forest High School, Westbury High School. What's another school? Somebody reached out to me, Chavez. I'm getting all kind of information, and there have been some administrators in different places, not just those schools, elementary schools, middle schools, that have like, hey, can you talk about this? Or hey, just FYI, this is going on, this is going on. And so continue to feed. You know, I have no dog in the fight. I used to be an HISD teacher and I escaped because they were gonna kill me. Okay, I had to go because I tell people all the time, I was at Jones High School. I was pulling over on the side of St. Louis Street, throwing up because I was sick to my stomach with anxiety. That's when I was introduced to 100 milligrams of Zoloft. Okay, because HISD was about to take me out of there. Once I left, the grass became greener, the skies opened up, and life is much better now. Okay, every place has their problems. Let's be clear. Everybody has their shit, but that was my thing. And still having friends and family members that are in HISD, still having to help advocate for some relatives that are in school in HISD, and seeing the differences in where I teach at, where my kids go to school, and what I'm seeing there. And I'm like, no, this is not it. We can't do this to children. We just cannot do this to kids. So last thing, and of course, I'm going to volunteer. Of course, those of you administrators that are fearful, but you want to feed me information to best help kids, I am available. Please send it to me. Send it to Ms. Williams. Send it to Miss. I'm gonna shout out to Miss Rushing again, because Miss Rushing is in the field. Miss Rushing is doing her thing. But last thing, how can we, the community, support you right now? I know you have a YouTube channel. TikTok probably about to be no more, so we need to support you. Run your subscribers up on YouTube, where you're teaching lessons. You're teaching teachers how to teach. You're teaching kids math. You have a business. You have your social media platforms. How can we support you right now?
Well, and I'm glad you asked that. I know that everything is not monetary. If you are a teacher and you're watching this, I go under the Ignited Teacher. You can like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and watch the videos to help monetize the channel. You can follow me on Facebook. I still work my business on the weekend, and I sell lesson plans. I have a blog. If you're looking for some instruction, I focus on math and math intervention, how to integrate literacy in mathematics. Those are ways that you can support me as we move forward. And if you're a teacher, become a member of the Houston Education Association. I advocate, even if I'm terminated, I ain't going nowhere. I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be the president of the Houston Education Association. So join today. Do not wait until you have an issue, because I can't help you. You don't know how many people I have turned away. We are union strong. And the way that works, if you are a young person, I'm telling you, and all my members don't agree with me, because we get into it. I get into it with teachers. I just got into it with one, because these people are friending me on this LinkedIn platform. And I done told y'all that Angela Flowers, I don't trust none of them. So if you work for HISD, don't send me no connection on LinkedIn, because I'm going to block you. I don't know if you are a rat, a mole. I don't trust none of y'all. And don't take it personally. I don't trust you all. If I wasn't talking to you beforehand, I'm definitely not about to talk to you now. But become a member and you can have access to me. So that's how you talk to me. Please do not send me any connection requests. And that's how you can support us, support the movement, because we are here. We're here to stay. And we're going to see this thing through. Nothing is going to change. They may try. Like the good book says, all you Bible-toting churchgoers said, no weapon formed against me. They didn't say the weapon wasn't going to form, but it wasn't going to prosper. And I stand by that, because in just the last couple of years, I've had weapons formed that didn't prosper, and neither will this one. So that's how you can support us. Become a member today. And I am here, and I'm going to advocate for you and HISD's children and community.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm gonna stop the live stream and I'm gonna keep you on for a little bit. But thank you again. We'll post. What's your social media handle so they can follow you there?
You can follow me on HEA President on X, formerly known as Twitter. Houston Education Association on Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter. All
right. And then the Ignited
Teacher. That's me. A lot of people are like, well, I don't see you on there. I'm not. Just like you, I used to have kids hunting me. Get off, because it's against policy to be talking to you on social media. I had to block some of my students. Look, don't do that.
I love y'all. It's nothing personal. I love y'all, but that's the technicality they'll get you on.
Yep.
That's the technicality they'll get you on. All right. So I'm going to stop the live stream, and I will post on my Instagram and on my TikTok and on my YouTube and Facebook, which I'm barely on, but your information. So we want to get them to support teachers. Please go subscribe. Even a subscription, watch the video for 30 seconds counts as a view. We got to start supporting our teachers that are trying to monetize their platforms where they are educating us. So go subscribe, like her videos, engage in her content. And yeah, so stop the live stream now, but I'm keeping you on, Ms. Williams, so hold tight.